Preface. Little Caylee Anthony's death holds a unique place in American criminal history. It has been more than a decade since the lead story on nightly news programs changed from the nationwide search for a missing Orlando 2-year-old to a news cycle of continuing national concern in the question, who killed Caylee Anthony? Public frustration swelled as demands grew that her killer must be found and brought to justice. Now, more than a decade later, the public can find comfort in new evidence from this cold case, as the murder mystery from the trial of the century has clarity and justice for 2-year-old Caylee for the first time. The breakthrough comes from our reporter's use of critical thinking. His principles: 1. Don't overlook the obvious, and 2. Listen to what isn't being said. After Keith Long broke new ground in reporting this story for Harvard, he emerged as the journalist of record for what Time magazine called the trial of the century. He was able to confirm that the Anthony family was structured with a strict top-down decision-making hierarchy. At the top was its undisputed alpha leader, Cindy Anthony. Second in command was her husband, George, and at the bottom of the power pyramid was law enforcement's prime suspect in their murder investigation, Caylee's mother, Casey. The single mom's pregnancy precipitated a crisis in their family's hierarchy. In most families, a newborn is welcomed as a blessing. Not so in this family. Those at the top of the power pyramid reacted to news of an impending birth as if it were an existential threat to their survival. Indeed, as our reporter discovered, it was. The newborn child was targeted for death, and then Caylee's young mother was next on this family's death wish list. Our reporter's submissions to the author evolved. The author found that he had to filter out a lifetime of lies by the Anthony family before he could consider the evidence gathered about this family and the murder that occurred at the hands of someone in it. What wasn't being said to law enforcement by family members became impossible for our reporter to ignore. He confirmed Caylee was killed in the backyard pool by a family member she trusted. The child's mother, Casey, was first to be questioned about her missing daughter, and she lied about virtually everything she witnessed that morning Caylee was killed. There was something more important than her lies. That was what the family didn't tell the police. There eventually would be a witness statement about how Caylee was murdered by her father, George. But that would take years to surface, and then it was largely ignored by the media covering the story. Casey's lies were a slam-dunk gift for law enforcement. She was the proverbial low-hanging fruit, very much ripe and ready to be plucked for arrest. Her lies were so preposterous that it seemed she was begging to be charged for her daughter's murder. And as things turned out, that was close to the truth. Her mother, Cindy, said, "George taught Casey to lie. Child abuse victims protect their parent abusers." So I wondered, was Casey following a script written by her parents? To protect them? Did her parents conspire to have her arrested to protect the killer? And did he kill Caylee, as a witness had said? The first-degree murder trial for Caylee's killer was televised and live-streamed to the country from Judge Belvin Perry's Orlando courtroom. 40 million TV watchers followed the trial on their smartphones. Soon after the jury's acquittal of Casey, our reporter's original reporting was published by Harvard's Nieman Foundation for Journalism. For this book, however, the author wanted readers to have a continuous narrative using a chronicler who could pass through this family's web of lies and discover what law enforcement, the media, and the public never saw a decade earlier. It was a tall task, but our chronicler makes it work thanks to the author's strategic decision to combine a literary device known as narrative non-fiction with another writing feature known as character narration, in the same story.